Hello, how's everybody doing out there in media land, YouTube, Facebook, or whatever other outlets we are trying to reach? I am getting on here today to talk on another subject. And this is a different subject, a strange subject. I try to deal with different things that we face from day to day. Some folks don't realize or understand that we face a lot of things, even in the church. Why do people not realize that we face things in the church? Because people expect church people to be a lot more different than what people of the world are. They expect church folks to be perfect, but not understanding that we that serve, praise, worship God, we also are only human. So we have our downfalls, we have our issues, we have our problems, we have our struggles, we have all types of things that we deal with. Um, and so I want to deal with this subject. Why do people cheat? Why do they cheat? Now, when you deal with that, that thing can go really deep, even the word alone. Now, I myself, I like games, not a gambler. Don't try to do it for money. Back in the days I would shoot dice. I would have card parties at my house. We would do all those different types of things, and I would have to get a cut. We would have to make some money off of whatever we were doing, because if it was a party, it was a party. My house, my house. I got to get something from it. So we got to the point that we understand that even in cards, I'm very competitive. I play spades, and my kids, they talk about me because they say, Dad will cheat. Dad is this and that. And when they do that, everybody around the table, they'll start laughing. And they'll laugh about the fact that Dad might cheat in cards. They think that I'm going to cheat in order to win. And I often will tell them that in spades, reneging is a part of the game. Where do you even think the word comes from? It's a part of the game. But the thing is, if you're going to renege, you got to make sure that you simply don't get caught. So, and even when you get caught, there's some people that take this thing seriously. If you're gambling, I know you're going to take it seriously, but we're not going to gamble at my table. But if the gamblers, they see that, it might be some fighting. You never know what's going to come about if you get caught cheating and taking some money or something from somebody. But when it comes to a friendly game, if you get caught, everybody around the table laughing because you got busted. You got caught. You shouldn't have done it. You're busted. What you tried to do, it simply did not work. So when we talk about cheating, I don't like that word as much. I don't like that word because people can laugh at a cheater. They can think that a cheater is funny. They can think that the act of cheating is a funny thing. But I want to use the word that best fits it. And that word is what the Bible talks against, and it is adultery. Uh, um, and again, it deals with covenants, it deals with vows, it deals with all of those different types of things. And once we break those vows and those covenants, we are in a bad, bad place. So, why do people break their covenants? It's a number of reasons that people break their covenants. Uh, some people break their covenants because they feel that the other is not honoring the covenant. They feel that the other has already broken it. It could be jealousy, um, something like that. Uh, it can be revenge. There's some things that people have on their mind, and I see this an awful lot. They say, "You're not doing this, you're not doing that," and so I'm going to do this to make myself feel good. And when they go that route, they're not realizing that they are destroying their home. A lot of time people do things without thinking. They do things without uh, uh, looking at what the outcome may be, or how bad this can hurt somebody, or what can come about from it. A lot of times there's children involved. There's families that's involved. You have families that have taken you to be their daughter-in-law, their son-in-law, their sister, their brother. And when you do that, you're not only hurting the person that you're with, but you're also hurting, not only hurting them or yourself, but you're hurting everybody else around you. And a lot of times, just for a few minutes of fun. I often say there's some folks that try to make things sound so good and so strong. I've heard men boast and brag and talk about, oh, we'll be doing this all night long, baby, this and that, and whatever. So, and when they say that, the truth be told, they're just trying to, a lot of times, get to the woman and entice her, tempt her, make her want what he has to offer. And a lot of times he doesn't even live up to the things that he's bragging about and talking about. So a lot of times these women as well as men are wasting their time over an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes of fun. Some people probably even 5 minutes. But of what they call fun. And so that goes to the next one. A lot of times people go out and do things differently because they feel that they're lacking fun in their relationship. Things are getting boring. It's not what it used to be. They get tired of doing the same thing, the same routines. Now, we're not trying to hinder someone from cheating. Don't you get it twisted, or committing adultery or messing around or whatever. But what we have to do is we have to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do as well. As men, as women, you all as well, we have to make sure that we're doing our duty and our job as a husband, and you make sure you're doing your jobs as wives. My wife often teaches, and when she teaches, oh my, she's a tough teacher. But she'll tell you, she say, don't get up cooking your husband a microwave meal, because there's someone else that's going to be boasting about how they cook and what they do and this and that. And while you're sitting up eating some cold potatoes, somebody else got a good old meal that's smoking waiting for him. My wife said, don't sit up and forget what it took to get your husband, to get him to want to marry you. And when you married, that fire that you had in the beginning, don't forget that. Because once you forget that, you mess some things up. You have to make sure that you remember. You got to remember, because if you forget, you'll find yourselves in a bad spot. You'll find yourself in a spot to where you're not wanting to please anymore. You're not wanting to do this anymore. You're not wanting to do that anymore. Or you'll begin to just simply go through the motions. And you don't ever want a relationship in which you're simply going through motions. You would rather have a relationship that everything that you do is coming from the heart. We get used to doing things. We do things religiously. Anytime we talk about religion, religion is simply doing something habitually, doing something by habit. There is good religion out there, but at the same time, we have to make sure that whatever we're doing is from the heart. So we can lose interest. We can lose excitement. We can lose the fire. And we have to make sure that we learn how to keep the fire burning. Always bring something new or something exciting. You might have to reach back and remember what got you to this place and bring that back again. Some of the things that we've lost. So that can be something that can deal with us. Loss of feelings, revenge, loneliness. Now, this is a deep one. You can be married, surrounded with children, and yet be lonely. I don't know about you, but I've been in a room full of people, and I felt like I was all by myself. It gets like that sometimes. But loneliness, how can we be lonely when you're preaching? You're preachers. You're out there. You're in the field. You're preaching every day, every night. Yes, God is the center of your joy. It's all good things come from Him. There's nothing that was made without Him. He's everything. He's the one that gave you the ability to even get your wife, to get your riches, to get your money, to get whatever it is that you have. He gave it to you. So, but at the same time, what He gave to you, He has given us also instruction, and instruction that we are to be faithful over the things that He has given us. You be faithful over the few things, then God will make you ruler over many things. We have to make sure that we're faithful over the things that God gives us. If He gives you a house, don't let that house just run into the ground and run into the dirt and just look like outside. You understand what I'm saying? If He gives you a car, clean the thing up sometime. Do what you're supposed to do. If He gives you a wife, you have to treat her like a wife. If He gives you a husband, same thing. So I want us to understand that, we can be lonely. We got to make sure that we don't do so much and forget about what we have at home. You can give 100% to everything you do. That's what we teach at Revival Center. We teach that you don't give percentages of yourself. I'm not going to give 50% to the church, turn around and give 20% to my job, and then give another 10% to myself because I need my time, and then another 10% to study. How much is left? You got about 30% left. And 20% left, 10% left. And then you have to split that up between your wife, your children, and you're leaving them with nothing. But what we have to do is we have to make sure that we're giving 100% to everything we do, everything in its proper place. You have the church. You make sure you give 100% to that church pastor, preacher, evangelist, leader, saint, whatever you are. And you, if you have a wife, you give 100% to that wife. You have that husband, you give 100% to that husband. Whatever you're doing, whatever time you have, you make sure you are giving 100% in that time. Don't work all day and then get to your wife or get to your husband and, don't touch me. I don't want to be close to you. I've worked hard all day. Just give me a minute. No, don't do that. Don't do that. We might need a minute, but you don't take the stress of your entire day and push it on the one that's closest to you. You make sure that you give them what you owe to them as well. Commitment, vows, yes, covenant. So you can be lonely, you can be revengeful, you can have loss of feelings, but all of it, no matter what it is, it's wrong. Because a lot of times what it is things that we're fighting within ourselves. And while we're fighting and battling within ourselves, I want you to understand we are not communicating that the right way. And this is a hurtful thing now. Don't get it twisted, because some are trying to communicate and some aren't being heard. That's a hard thing. So we have to find something. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with counseling. I don't think there's anything wrong with a mentor. I don't think it's anything wrong with that, but you have to be careful. You have to, even when you're dealing with a counselor in marriage, I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, what you have to do is make sure that whatever you're giving to that counselor, you have to discuss that. You don't ever want your spouse, your mate, to feel this small. You can't do that. You got to make sure that you have to conversate on the things that you want to work on, and the things that you want to work on and get help on, then you deal with those things. So you have to be open to one another, but there's nothing wrong with getting a counselor. But we have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to communicate the things that we need, the things that we're lacking, the things that we're wanting, even the things that we're feeling, because it's the things that you deal with on the inside that you don't let out that you're going to end up messing up with. It's the things that you don't talk to anybody about. Those things are the things that break you down the most. So you must make sure that you're able to deal with something. And you got to be careful. Be careful of who you deal with. Be careful of the ones that you are talking to, because some of the ones that you're talking to, it's doing nothing but hurting you. While you're talking to them, they're talking to somebody else. Somebody else looking at you strange and you don't know why. Somebody else is looking at your wife and you don't know why. Somebody else is looking at your husband and you don't understand why. Because you're talking when you should not be talking. There is never a time that you should talk to somebody when you haven't talked to your spouse. Never a time that you should discuss your home, your house, what's going on in there when you have not discussed it with the one that you are dealing with, the one that you're going through with. When you do that, that's a lack of trust. That brings about hurt, pain. It can mess up a whole lot of things. I've heard of in one instance, they were going through some things, but they weren't talking to one another. And as they weren't talking to one another, one of them was talking to someone else. And as they were talking to someone, they said, I'm giving my spouse a certain amount of time, and I'm leaving. I'm done with them. I'm not going to deal with them. And that spouse found that out through something else. Did not find it out through the person that they were dealing with, but found it out through someone else. And when they did, all hell broke loose. And it was some things that went on from that was just absolutely out of control. So it was a surprise to them. It messed them up. It hurt them. It broke them, when what should have happened is they should have communicated it to one another. If you don't talk to one another, don't talk to anyone else. The Bible even speaks on that. If you have an ought against your brother, and I'll go this route, your sister too, the brother and the sisters, whatever it might be, You go to them and them alone. You go to them first. And if you go to them and it's not received, then you can bring someone else in. And when you bring someone else in, you have to be careful of that too. You don't ever do anything by surprise. Don't ever catch somebody off guard or by surprise. And then when that doesn't help, and then we deal with going before the body, going before the church, we have to make sure that we do things in the right order. Adultery is wrong. If you're going to commit adultery, you might as well just get out of it. You are breaking covenants. You're breaking God's laws. You are breaking trust. You're breaking so many things. And just for, like I said, a few minutes of fun, just for fake assurance, just for what you think is revenge, but you're only hurting yourself. Because you have lost feelings, you are bringing about different types of feelings within your relationships, different types of things that's going to actually be worse than the loss of feelings that you've had in the first place. There's going to be chaos, confusion, and a whole lot of things that's going to touch that relationship and touch people around you. There have been people that have committed suicide because of divorce. And I'm not talking about the two that's divorcing. I'm talking about children. I'm talking about things like that. We have to take time to think about what's going on around us, not just being self-centered, thinking of yourself. Cheaters, we have to be careful. There's no reason to cheat in life. Always be straightforward. Always let somebody know what's going on with you. Always be open, especially when two have become one. I think I will leave it at that. I would go a little deeper a little later, see, because I talk from experience, and my time is getting short. I talk from experience. I've been there. I was the worst of the worst. I didn't know what it meant to be with one woman. Didn't know how. Didn't know which way to go with that. I just didn't know how. Anytime, wherever I was, old song said Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. And my God, can I identify with that? Because wherever I was, whoever I was close to, I tried to make them mine. I didn't know how to be faithful to my wife. I didn't know how to love my children. I didn't know which way to go in any of those areas. But when I got in touch with God, He showed me another way. He helped me in areas that I needed. And so in all your ways, acknowledge Him. And what He will do, He will give you direction. He'll direct your path. So there's no need for some things. Make sure that you communicate your feelings, be open, deal with things. Don't run from your issues and your problems, because they'll still be there. Matter of fact, they'll be worse when you get back. All right. God bless. Talk to you later.